Hi students. So in today's class we'll discuss about Stokes theorem, right? We'll see what is Stokes theorem and we'll see what is the proof for that, right? Where it is useful and all those we'll just see that. And then we'll solve some problems based on magnetostatics, based on whatever derivations we have discussed till today, right? So we'll revise what all we have derived till now in magnetostatics. So we started with Biot-Savart's law. So we got this expression for dH, right? We have solved one problem also based on this, and then like how we had charge distribution in electrostatics, we have charge distribution in magnetostatics also. That is I for line, K for surface, and J for volume. So respectively, you have to apply this differential elements, differential length, surface, and volume. Right, remaining things remains the same. Then we did when then we discussed what is the a magnetic field intensity H vector due to a straight current carrying conductor. This is for the finite length, and this is of infinite length. So we had solved one problem based on this, right? I'd given you as a homework, and I've given the solutions also for that. And this one is for infinite line charge. So in that one problem, the first subdivision was from minus infinity to plus infinity. So we used that formula, right? Then in today's class we'll solve one problem based on this, that is circular current carrying conductor, where H vector is given by I into rho square Az divided by 2 into rho square plus H square whole power 3 by 2. So we need this formula today. We have one problem based on this, right? So and in the next class we discussed Ampere's law, which stated that or a closed integral of H vector dot dl will give you current enclosed. So if you have a closed, if there is a current carrying conductor like this is a center, right? If there is a current carrying conductor like this, the direction of H vector will be like this, correct? So over a closed integral, if you integrate this H vector, it will give you what is the current enclosed by this particular loop, right? Then we also saw that by using the equation of what to say by using the equation of current density, we also obtained that curl of H vector is equal to J vector, right? So these two are from Ampere's law, right? This is in integral form and this is in differential form or point form. So these also we need today for solving the problems. And we discussed about magnetic flux density, like how we had electric flux density D, we have magnetic flux density B vector is equal to mu naught H. Like in electrostatics we had D vector is equal to epsilon naught E vector for free space, right? If it is not free space, then you have to include epsilon R also. So similarly you have this for magnetostatics, where this was called permittivity and this is called permeability, and we have seen the units also in the previous class, right? And this equation, like how we have Gauss law for electric field, this is Gauss law for magnetic field, that is magnetic flux is equal to surface integral of B vector dot ds vector. Note here that this is not closed integral, this is open integral, right? So same thing when you do it for a closed integral. So for a closed integral, B dot ds will be equal to 0, because we saw in the previous class that only north pole cannot exist, right? Whenever you have a magnet, it will have both north pole and south pole, so you cannot obtain only a single pole, monopole, right? So whatever flux is generated from north pole will terminate on south pole. So on the whole, when you take the closed integral of that particular thing, it will be 0. That is the meaning of this. So here you have to note that this is not closed. If you want to find the flux, it will not be closed, but over a closed integral the value will be 0, right? So then using divergence theorem, we saw that from the same equation we can obtain that divergence of B vector is equal to 0. Divergence of B vector is equal to 0. Then we saw what is scalar magnetic potential and vector magnetic potential. So this Vm is scalar magnetic potential and this vector A is vector magnetic potential. So these are the two equations what we derived, right? So now if the current density is 0 and if they have given Vm, you have to just find Laplacian of Vm. If that answer comes to be 0, that means that that particular region is having J is equal to 0. And then if you know what is A, if they ask you to find what is B vector, that is magnetic flux density, you have to just find curl of A vector, right? So this also we discussed in the previous lectures. Now we'll move on to the next slide. Yeah. Then when we did what to say applications of Ampere circuital law, we came across this infinite sheet of charge. There we have obtained this equation, that is H vector is equal to half into, this is for current, surface current density, right, half into K vector cross An, where An is the unit vector normal to the surface, this also we need to for today's class, right? And then we saw what is coaxial cable equation. We divided that coaxial cable into many regions, right? So that is L1, L2, L3 and L4. So for all those four cases, what is H vector? So that we obtained here, correct? In the derivation, we obtained this, and outside it will be 0, right? These are the four values of H for different radius. That is when rho is between 0 to A, this is the H vector. When rho is between A to B, this is the H vector. When rho is between B and B plus T, this is the one. And when rho is greater than B, then H vector will be 0, right? So we'll start with the problems today. Today's problems. Before going to the problems, we also saw all the Maxwell's equation at one place, right? So these two are from electrostatics, that is divergence of D vector is equal to rho v and curl of E vector is equal to 0. These are from electrostatics, and divergence of B vector is equal to 0 and curl of H vector is equal to J. So these are from magnetostatics, right? This is nothing but Gauss law, and this is nothing but conservative nature of electrostatic field. And this one, divergence of B vector, is the proof for non-existence of magnetic monopole, right? Always the magnet will have two poles, it cannot have a monopole. And curl of H vector is equal to J. So this is from Ampere's law. So all these are integral forms. These are differential or point forms, right? So all this we have discussed in the previous lectures. Now, yeah. And I also wanted you to note down these differential elements. Anyway, we discussed this in module 1. I thought it will be helpful to you if I post it here. You can also, go through your book, or you can also note it down by pausing the video. So first thing is, we have for Cartesian coordinate system, we have dl in this form. This is for cylindrical and this is for spherical, right? All these we may require for solving the problems today. That's why I put them here. And then we have differential surface for all the three: Cartesian, this is Cartesian, cylindrical and spherical, right? Now volume, anyway, I have not put here. I think we are not using that, or you know what are the volume equations. It's easy, right? Now this is the curl equation in Cartesian coordinate system, curl of A vector in cylindrical coordinate system, and curl of A vector in spherical coordinate system. Anyway, all these we have discussed in the first module, right? Anyway, I'm just putting it here. So all these we may require for solving the problems today, right? So now, yeah, moving on to today's lecture, we'll start with Stokes theorem and then we'll start with the problems. So Stokes theorems, Like how we had divergence theorem in electrostatics, the same way we have Stokes theorem in magnetostatics, right? So we'll see what it is. So analogous to divergence theorem in electrostatics, there exists Stokes theorem in magnetostatics. So the Stokes theorem relates the line integral to the surface integral, whereas divergence theorem related surface integral to volume, that you have to know, right? So Stokes theorem relates line integral to surface integral. Basically, it is a mathematical theorem which is to be applied in magnetostatics, right? Now, we'll see what is the statement of Stokes theorem. You'll understand the statements when we are doing the proof. Just read this one. The line integral of vector A around a closed path L is equal to the integral of curl of A vector over open surface S enclosed by closed path L. Enclosed by closed path L. Right. So vector A around the closed path L is equal to integral of curl. This is also integral of vector A. Integral of vector A vector around a closed path L is equal to integral of curl over A vector A of open surface enclosed by the closed path L. Right? This is a statement of Stokes theorem. So the theorem is applicable only when A vector and the curl of A vector are continuous on the surface. On the surface, yes. So this you'll understand now in the next slide. Right. So now look here. This is the proof for Stokes theorem. Now what we'll do, we'll consider any closed surface. We'll consider this figure A first. So consider any closed surface and divide that into many differential surfaces, right? So many differential surfaces. So now I'll take one such differential surface here. I'll take one such differential surface here, right? Now for this surface, the normal direction is this AN. Perpendicular direction is AN, and all the surfaces here is equally distributed, and the surface area of each one is delta S. Each one is delta S. So when you add all delta S, you will get the total surface area. Yes, you will get the total surface area. Yes, right. Now consider a surface S which is splitted into number of incremental surfaces. As I told you, each incremental surface is having the area of delta S as shown in the figure. Now applying definition of curl to any of these incremental surfaces, we can write now curl of H vector normal to the direction of the surface is equal to closed integral of H vector dot dl by ds, right, by ds. Now yeah, we'll just now if you have the if you have the surface area like this, which is splitted into many what to say, many incremental surfaces like this, when it is splitted into many integral surfaces. Now what happens when you apply, what happens when you apply what to say, like how we solve KCL and KVL, some direction, right? Some direction when you use KVL. So now I'll use the arrow direction like this. So I'll obtain what is DL for this one. Now since I'm taking the arrow like this, the first arrow will be here, the second arrow will be here, third arrow, and the fourth arrow. This is for the first surface. Now similarly, if I take it here, what happens? If I take the same arrow here, this arrow will have the contact with the previous one. So the arrow will be in this side, and here we'll have this side, and here we'll have like this, and here we'll have like this. Correct. Now you can see here, now we have seen this only for these two surfaces. Now you can see here, that here whichever line is common to two surfaces will have the arrow direction on both the sides, right? So what happens here, these two arrows will cancel out, and when I apply this curl or this kind of analysis for two surfaces, what happens, the middle part will get cancelled because of the arrows. Now the area what I get will be like this, right? Similarly, when I apply for everything, when I apply for all the things, I'll get only the outer boundary. I'll get only the outer boundary, because whatever line is there between two surfaces will have the arrows on both the directions, and both the directions arrows will cancel out each other. So when you solve for many differential surfaces, it will give you only the outer boundary. It will give you only the outer boundary. So we'll see the explanation for this here. Now, as I told you, n is normal to delta s according to the right hand rule. Then right hand rule you understood, right? So when you hold this, if this indicates your thumb, this indicates your, I mean, in the right hand thumb, if you hold, this indicates the direction of your fingers, right hand fingers, right, curled fingers, according to right hand rule. Now dl delta s is equal to the perimeter of the incremental surface delta s. Now here we have taken many surfaces, so this will be dl delta. So this total length will be dl delta s. This total length will be dl delta s. That is the meaning what they have told. Now the curl of h vector in normal direction is the dot product of curl where an is a unit vector normal to the surface delta s according to right hand rule. Right. Now here what happens? The curl of h vector, which is in normal direction, is equal to curl of h dot an. Right. What is dot an? It gives the direction normal to the surface. Right. So I'm just writing the curl in the normal direction as the dot product of curl of h vector and an. Right. Now this curl of h vector normal to the direction, I'll take it as integration of, now curl of h vector for the normal surface, what we had derived, that is here we have integral h vector, closed integral of h vector dot dl delta s divided by delta s. Right. Now if I apply here, what I'm doing it here actually, so I'm applying that formula here. So this will be divided by delta s. So in the next step, what I'm doing is I'm taking this delta s here, right? So this delta s will not be here. I'm writing it directly. So closed integral of h vector dot dl delta s is equal to curl of h vector dot an into delta s, right? This is after applying the definition of curl. Now what happens here? Here, what you have to observe is this ds is not a vector. So if I have to include it as a vector, that will also have the direction an. So an dot an will be 1. So I can represent these two as dot product, or in other words, this an into delta s is nothing but delta s vector, and this dot product remains the same, right? So what did I get here? Now over a closed integral, h vector dot dl vector will be equal to curl of h vector dot ds vector, right? Now read this one, the explanation for whatever I told you for this particular thing, right? Now if you read this, you'll understand. To obtain the total curl of To obtain the total curl for every incremental surface, add the closed line integrals for each delta s from the figure B, what I explained in the previous slide. It can be seen that the common boundary between the two incremental surfaces, the line integral is getting cancelled as the boundary is getting traced in two opposite directions. As we saw, arrows are in two different directions when the line is same for two surfaces. This happens for all the interior boundaries. Only at the outside boundary cancellation does not exist, because outside the boundary what happens, there is no one more surface to for the arrow to be in this direction. So only one arrow will have, that is in this direction. So this will not be 0, right? And that is how we'll be tracing the whole boundary. Hence the summation of all the closed line integrals for each and every delta s ends up in a single closed line integral to be obtained for the outer boundary of the total surface S. Hence the equation 3 becomes, which is equation, hence the equation 3, that is from this one, it will be over a line integral h vector dot dl vector will be equal to curl of h vector dot ds vector, right? So h vector dot dl vector, this will be for this one, right? This one will be for this one, like several what to say, several elements. The small boxes what we saw in the previous one will relate to the curl of h vector for the entire surface, so this is how it links the line integral to the line integral to the surface integral, the line integral to the surface integral, right? So we take only one such thing and we'll apply what is h vector dot dl vector, which is equal to the total surface area curl dot ds vector, right? Now going to the next one. Yeah, now here, one second. Yeah, here you have to note this point. The Stokes theorem is applicable for open surface enclosed by the given closed path, right? Enclosed by the given closed path. Now here you can see, here the line is closed. Here the line is closed, but the surface is not closed. It is open surface. Now, if what happens if you apply Stokes theorem for um, any closed surface like a volume, the answer will produce the answer produced will be 0. It is applicable only for a open surface, right? What you have to understand here is Stokes theorem relates h vector over length, right, over the closed line integral to the curl of h vector over ds vector in open surface integral. So these are the two things which you have to remember in Stokes theorem. Like how we had what to say, Gauss law. Here you have, divergence theorem. We have Stokes theorem here. So you will have one. We'll solve one problem in today's class where we have to verify both the sides of Stokes theorem, right? So you'll understand this better there when we are solving the problem, right? What you have to remember here is one more point, like how we have divergence theorem in electrostatics, we have Stokes theorem in magnetostatics, right? Now, yes, so we'll solve with the first problem. This is not with respect to Stokes theorem in general. So there is a plane y is equal to 1 carries current density K is equal to 40 AZ ampere per meter. Find H at first point A000 and B second point 1 5 minus 2. So as soon as you see these kind of problems, you have to know what is the application of Gauss law, application of Ampere's law, what we discussed for an infinite sheet of charge. What was the formula we got? This was the formula what we got. So you can see this formula, it relates H vector, with respect to the surface current K, surface current density K. So we have K already, right? K is given here, so no need to worry about K. But AN we have to obtain. Now where is the surface charge placed? Surface charge placed at y is equal to 1. Y is equal to 1 means it is which plane? It is XZ plane, right? Now we'll see the diagram for that. Now this is the direction. So the infinite surface is placed in y is equal to 1 plane. So it is placed in XZ plane. xz plane. So from the derivation you should know this one, that is k vector will be along az direction, right? That is already given. K vector is in az direction because you can see that az is here, right? Now we have drawn this. Now we know what is k vector, and what we have to find, we have to find h vector, and we know that this is the formula. And what is the only unknown here? That is an, that is normal to the direction of this surface, right? Now this is placed at y is equal to 1. This is placed at y is equal to 1. Now the first point where we have to find is a is equal a 0 0 0. Now here we are not interested with respect to x or z, we are interested only with respect to y, and here y is 0. Now y is 0 means it will be here, right? Y is 0 means it will be here. Now the surface charge is at y is equal to 1, and we have to find the h vector at y is equal to 0. So the arrow will be in which direction? It should be towards this direction, which is nothing but minus a y cap, right? Here the surface charge is placed at y is equal to 1, and we have uh, we have the point, or we have to find the h vector at 0, right? At 0. So the arrow should be in this direction, so it is given by minus ay. Now we have this half is in the formula itself, half of 40 az cap cross minus ay. How do you find the cross product? So we'll see it here. Yeah, now here you can see that we get it is minus ay. Now az cross ay, az cross ay is minus ax. So this is a vector. So when you rotate z towards y, the direction will be along minus ax. That is the meaning here. So when we have az cross minus ay, this will become plus ax. So this is what we get. So finally h vector will be 20 ax ampere per meter. 20 ax ampere per meter. Now the second case, how to do the second case now here? So second case, b is at 1 5 minus 2. Again we are interested only in y, that is 5. So 5 will be, now this point is at 1, this surface is at 1. Now 5 will be somewhere here, right? Now the arrow has to be towards this side, towards 5, right? So it is along positive y axis. So this will be ay cap. This will be ay cap. Now what is the only change here? Here we have az cross ay as minus ax. So it will be, the answer will be negative. So h vector will be minus 20 ax cap. So here you can see half k vector cross an cap will be equal to half of 40 az, which was given in the question, cross ay. Why this is positive ay? Because the surface is at plus 1, and we are finding the effect, or we are finding the magnetic field intensity at 5. So the direction is towards this side, that is positive side. So it will be ay, and we know that az cross ay will be minus ax. So that is why the answer will be negative. Answer will be negative ampere per meter, right? I think you'll be able to solve any problem given in this form with respect to k. This is one of the problem based on infinite sheet charge, and this is also for the application of Ampere's law, right? We'll move on to the next problem. Yes. Now here in the region r between 0 to 0.5 meter, r between 0 to 0.5 meter in cylindrical coordinates. Now this I have taken from the different textbook. So this r is nothing but rho here, right? Or you can write it as r itself, but don't get confused with spherical coordinate system. R is nothing but rho for cylindrical coordinate system. That is how we have discussed in class also. So wherever you have r, that is rho in this particular problem, that you have to remember. The current density is J vector is equal to 4.5 e to the power minus 2r Az cap ampere per meter square, and J is equal to 0 elsewhere. Okay. Use Ampere circuital law to find H vector. Now what is given and what you have to find? They are given some region R between 0 to 0.5, that is okay, right? Rho between 0 to 0.5. Now you have to find H vector. You have to find H vector, and what they have given is J vector. What they have given is J vector. So first, this is how we solve this problem. First, what I'll do is I'll just find what is the current I using this J what is given. Now, can you write? Can you tell me what will be the surface? What will be the surface when AZ is perpendicular for cylindrical coordinate system? When this AZ is perpendicular, when AZ is a unit, what is the value for ds vector when AZ is a unit vector, right? So ds vector when AZ is a unit vector is nothing but this one. I'll show you. Yes. So when AZ is the unit vector, this is the equation for ds vector, correct? So we know what is J. So we know what is J here. It is already given in the question, and J has only dz. Now we are taking the top surface of the cylinder, so it will be of this form. Now if the arrow, if the angle is d phi, if the arrow is d phi, and the length is dr or d rho, right? So this will be rho d phi, rho d phi. Now what will be ds of this one? It will be nothing but rho d phi into what is the unit vector of this one? It will be az cap. That is the top surface. You can check your notebook. So this will be az cap. Now we got what is ds vector also. Now I'll be able to find what is j vector dot ds vector. J vector also has az, ds vector also has az. So both will get cancelled out. And rho anyway they have given the limit, right? Rho I'll be able to find. D rho, rho already we have a value between 0 to 0.5. So rho is given. And phi anyway it will be from 0 to 2 pi because it is for a full cylinder, right? They have not given any value for phi, so we have to consider a full cylinder. Then what I'll do, then I have h vector dot dl vector is equal to I. Now here I already, right? I have I already from this step. Then I'll try to find what is h vector from this one. I'll find what is h vector from this one, and for this one what will be dl? Here dl will be only this part, that is rho into d phi, and what will be the unit for that dl? It will be a phi cap. It will be a phi cap. So if you want to see it here, dl, that is this one. This will be dl for the second case, right? Now anyway, when you see the solution, you will understand. Yes, I'll just clear this whatever I've written. Yeah. So now first we are finding this one. So now here just see I'm applying this formula whichever I told you now. This formula I'm applying here. So ds will be equal to rho dr d phi az. So whichever is az in cylindrical coordinate system, that surface I'm taking because we have az in the question for j also, right? Now I vector will be, now whatever is there here, what is this? This is j vector dot ds vector. Ds vector also I'm writing it here with the dot product. So az dot az will be 1, that you know. Now 4.5 will be a constant, so it is written outside. So phi is between 0 to 2 pi, r is between 0 to r, so we'll keep it as r itself. So it will be r e power minus 2r dr d phi, right? So this is the equation what we got now. Now how to solve this? You have to use integration by parts. Yes, using integration by parts, right? When you solve this integration, you get the answer to be 1.8676 amperes. 1.8676 amperes. This is now what we have here. We have I, correct? We have I here, and the equation what you got here is with respect to this one, with respect to R. With respect to R, you have got this equation. Now, when I substitute R as 0.5, when I substitute R as 0.5, because here the R ranges from 0 to 0.5. So if I need the exterior surface of the cylinder, I need to substitute this R as 0.5. So when R is 0.5, I will be equal to, this value is 7.086, that is 9 pi by 4. 1 is written as it is, and 2R e power minus 2R is this value, and e power minus 2R is this value. So when you solve this completely, you will get the answer to be 1.8676 amperes, right? So consider a closed path with R greater than 0.5 such that the enclosed current is the maximum one. When we considered R as 0.5, that is 1.8676 amperes. Okay, so now half of the problem is over. Now we are using this formula. Now we are using this formula to find H vector. Now, according to Ampere's circuital law, closed integral of h vector dot dl vector is equal to I. This we know, the same formula I am using here. So now what will be h vector? H vector will be h phi into a phi cap, and dl vector will be r d phi a phi cap. R d phi a phi cap, as I told you, as I showed you in the equation also in the previous lecture, previous slide. So we have h phi r d phi is equal to I. Now h phi r will be constant here. When you integrate this d phi with respect to 0 to 2 pi, you'll get 2 pi. So it will be 2 pi r h phi is equal to 1.8676. So h phi will be equal to, I'm getting this down, that is h phi is equal to, cross multiply this one divided by r, right? So you get h vector is equal to 0.2972 by r a phi cap ampere per meter, right? So here what happens, you can substitute the value of r from any value that is between 0 to 0.5. You will get what is h vector. What is h vector, right? So this is the answer. Now this is a step, this is a procedure what you have to follow when they have given j vector and they are asking you to find h vector, right? First we'll calculate the current I, and then we'll calculate current h using Ampere's law. Next problem, a h vector, here h vector is given, right, in Cartesian coordinate system, and describe the current density over the yz plane. Now yz plane means the value of x will be 0. The value of x will be 0, right? Now h vector is given. So now when h vector is given, and if you're asked to find, j, how do you find? This we have from point form of Ampere's law. J vector is equal to curl of h vector. Now what is curl of h vector? I've given you the formula in the beginning of this slide. So curl of h vector for Cartesian coordinate system is this one. So I'll write this formula. The same thing I've written here. So the same formula I've written, curl of h vector, right? Now h vector, we have something for ax, something for az, and ay is 0. So this is that hx, and this is hz, right? So this is nothing but hx, and this is hz, right? Hy is 0. Now which is equal to, when you solve the determinant, ax into dou y of y plus e power x, and this will be 0, plus ay into, you have to just solve this determinant. So the answer what you get here is, here, this is the answer what you get when you solve the determinant, right? So it will be ax minus ex ay cap minus cos alpha x a power az cap. Now since it is yz plane, we have to substitute x as 0. When you substitute x as 0, this is the answer what you get. That is ax minus ay minus az ampere meter square. So this is j vector. This is j vector, right? So this is how you find h vector, I mean j vector when h vector is given, right? Next problem. Yeah, this is about today's derivation. Evaluate both the sides of Stokes theorem for the field H is equal to 6xy ax cap minus 3y square ay cap ampere per meter, and the rectangular path around the region x is between 2 to 5, minus 1, y is between minus 1 to 1, and z is equal to 0. Let the positive direction of ds vector be az cap. D, let the positive direction of ds vector be az cap, right? So this is in which coordinate system? That is the first thing what you have to see. So this is clear that it is given in Cartesian coordinate system. Now for the rectangular path, x is between 2 to 5 and minus 1, y is between minus 1 to 1, and z is equal to 0. Z is equal to 0 means it is xy plane, that is known, right? Now it is not xy plane means obviously the direction will be, normal direction will be ds cap, right? Now how to write the figure for this? Yeah, this is the formula which we'll be using. This is what we derived today from Stokes theorem, which relates from closed length to open surface, right? So this is the formula which we'll be using, and if you draw the diagram for whatever specification they have given, so x is between minus 1 to 1. So yeah, sorry, x is between 2 to 5. So this is 2 and this is 5, right? So I'll mark two lines, I'll draw two lines here, that is for x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 5. Then what we have next? We have next y is between minus 1 to 1. So I'll draw one line from parallel to x-axis at y is equal to 1. So this point is y is equal to 1 and this point is y is equal to minus 1. So wherever you get a rectangle, that we are highlighting it. We are highlighting it. So this can have both positive axis az cap or it can have negative axis az cap. Since they have given in the question, just take only positive axis of az cap. So we are considering only the positive az cap, right? Negative az cap will be taken as, it will not be considered. So we got the loop here. I hope everyone understood how we got this. So since we are taking positive az cap, again you have to apply right hand thumb rule, right? When you hold the right hand thumb rule, your fingers will be in this direction. Always you have to note that always it has to satisfy the right hand thumb rule, right? Right hand rule. So now this will be az and this is the path taken, right? Now first we have to prove for this one, right? How do you prove? How many lines we have? We have 4 lines, and we have to check what is h vector dot dl vector. Now first you have to know, if we start from a to b, yeah, a to b, if we solve, what will be the dl vector for this one? dl vector will be along y direction, so it will be ay cap. So this will be positive ay cap, so this will be minus ax cap, and this will be minus ay cap. So you know what are the directions here. And now since we have a dot product, so we'll be considering only the respective unit vectors, right? Anyway, we'll understand it here. We'll do one by one. So now h vector dot dl vector, as I told you, there are 4 paths here. So for all the 4 paths, you have to do this problem. You have to solve this problem. So first we'll take a to b. A to b, when you take h vector dot dl, so a to b, it is going in which direction? A to b, y remains same, that is y is equal to minus 1, but x changes from 2 to 5. X changes from 2 to 5. Now when x changes from 2 to 5, I mean, yeah, x is equal to 2 to 5. Now we need to write h vector dot dl vector. H vector will be 6xy ax cap minus 3y square ay cap dot for AB. What is DL? For AB, it is along which direction? It is along x direction. Positive x or negative x? It is positive x, right? So it will be AX cap. So that is why we have dx AX cap here. Yeah, dx AX cap. I hope you understood how we took this DL, right? Now x is equal to 2 to 5, 6xy dx, because this one dot this one will be 0, right? But this one dot this one will get it as 1, that is 6xy dx. So when you solve this 6xy dx, y will be constant here because we are integrating only with respect to x. So you get 6y into x square by 2, 2 to 5. So when you solve this, you will get 63y. Now for a to b, what is y here? For a to b, when you are solving from a to b, y only changes. Y changes from 2 to 5, but sorry, x changes from 2 to 5, but y remains the same, that is y is equal to minus 1. So I am substituting y is equal to minus 1 here, y is equal to minus 1 here. When I substitute my y is equal to minus 1, for the first part, I'll get the answer as, that is for a to b, I'll get the answer as minus 63. I'll get minus 63 amperes, right? Now similarly, we have solved only for a to b here. Next we have to solve for b to c, c to d, and d to a. So now b to c will be same thing. B to c, which one will be changing? B to c, this x remains the same, that is x is equal to 5. X is equal to 5, and for b to c, it is changing from y is equal to minus 1 to 1. Y is equal to minus 1 to 1. Yeah, minus 1 to 1. And here we have this minus 3y square dy. So minus 3y cube, the whatever you solve, you'll get this answer, that is 63 minus 63y. Now this is for c to d. Now this is the answer what you get here. Now, but y is equal to 1 for c to d, so you'll get minus 63. So when you solve all these, you will get the answer to be minus 126 amperes. This is for LHS of Stokes theorem. Right, now we have to prove what is RHS. Now we have to evaluate the right hand side. That is, right hand side what we have proved this one. Now we got some answer as minus 126, and this we have to solve now, right? So what all we need ds vector. What is ds vector for this one? Ds vector for this one will be dx dy az cap, right? And curl of h vector we have to find. So curl of h vector, when you find, this is the answer what you get, minus 6 az cap. So minus 6 az cap will be curl of h vector, that is this one, right? And dot ds will be dx dy az cap. I hope you understood from the diagram. Now ds vector will be dx dy az cap, normal to the direction az, as I told you. Now ds, integration of s, that is LHS, RHS, equation of Stokes theorem. When you solve this one, we have dx and dy. So dx changes from 2 to 5, dy changes from minus 1 to 1. So when you solve this, you will get this to be minus 126 amperes only. So hence, both the sides of Stokes theorem is verified. Both the sides of Stokes theorem is verified, right? So this is how we did for divergence theorem also, right, in the electrostatics. So here we are doing it for Stokes theorem, which relates from line to surface. Now going to the next one. Yes, here I want you to solve this problem by yourself. I've given the answers here. So in cylindrical coordinates, a vector is equal to 50 r square Az cap Weber per meter, right? So this r is rho here. You can take it as r also, right? Wherever you have r, that means it is rho because it is cylindrical coordinates. Is a vector magnitude potential in a certain region of free space. Find h vector, b vector, j vector, and using j vector find the total current I crossing the surface r between 0 to 1 and phi between 0 to 2 pi, and z is equal to 0. Now what is a vector? A vector is nothing but vector magnetic potential, right? So vector magnetic potential, we have a formula. B vector is equal to curl of A vector. This we have derived when we discussed vector magnetic potential, so you can use that one. So curl of A vector in cylindrical coordinate system you have to use. So this will be the answer for the first one, I mean for B vector. Next you have to find H vector. H vector, we know that H vector is B vector by mu naught. Mu naught is a constant, right? When you solve that, you will get this answer. So we got H vector also. Now how to find J vector? We have this from Ampere's law. So J vector is equal to curl of H vector, again cylindrical coordinate system. So you'll get minus 200 by mu naught Az cap, right? Now next you have to find I. So I, you can find I is equal to closed integral of S J vector dot ds vector. So J vector you have Az. So what will be ds vector for cylindrical coordinate system, where Az is a unit vector? It will be the top surface, right? If this is a cylinder, this is the surface where we have Az cap. So when you take this surface, so this will be d rho and this will be rho d phi. This will be rho d phi and the unit vector will be dz, Az cap, sorry. So now what will be ds vector here? ds vector here will be equal to rho d rho d phi Az cap. Az cap. Now rho d phi Az cap is the answer for ds vector for this problem. Now j vector also has Az, this also has Az, so those two dot product will be 1. So here we have rho d phi. So rho you have to integrate with respect to d rho, but whereas the limit for rho is given to be r. Now what will be the formula for this one? Whatever answer you get for j, right, you have to integrate over two integrations. That is rho changes from 0 to 1 and phi changes from 0 to 2 pi. Phi changes from 0 to 2 pi. Now you will find what is j vector dot ds vector here. J vector is here, ds vector is here. So solve that integration. You will get the answer to be minus 500 into 10 to the power 6 amperes. I want you to solve this problem by yourself. I've given you all the formulas. So moving on to the next problem. Yes, a single turn circular coil. So circular coil, you have to remember which is the derivation. 50 meter in diameter, carries a current of 28 into 10 to the power 4 amperes. Determine the magnetic field intensity H vector at a point on axis of the coil and 100 meter from the coil. The mu r of free space surrounding the coil is unity. Right. So the diagram for, I mean the formula which we'll be using is the formula which we discussed, I mean which we had derived after infinite line charge, that is circular charge, circular current carrying current, right? So what all we need? We need I, whether I is there, yes, current is there, that is 28 into 10 to the power 4, and rho is nothing but r. Here diameter is given, so d divided by 2 will be r, so we know what is rho also. So what is h? It is at what height? It is 100 meter from the coil, right? 100 meter, so h is 100. So you have everything, you have to just apply the formula and then solve. So the mu r for the free space surrounding the coil is unity. Okay, mu r is taken as 1, so only mu naught will we have to consider, or mu naught is not required at all here. So this is the diagram, and this is how you solve this. So the same formula here, where rho is written as r, because this is from the other textbook, right? So when you apply this formula, you'll get the answer to be 79.894 AZ cap ampere per meter. This is just the direct substitution. If you know the formula here, you'll be able to relate the question with the formula, and you'll be able to write the given data and substitute it and get the answer, right? Now going on to the next problem. It is a homework problem. I want you to solve this by yourself. So evaluate both the sides of Stokes theorem for the field H vector is equal to 10 sine theta a phi cap, and the surface R is equal to 3, theta is between 0 to 90 and phi is between 0 to 90. So this will be very nicely, you can very nicely solve this. The only thing is you have to identify what are the segments. So I've given you all the data here. R is 3, uh, theta is between 0 to 90, phi is between 0 to 90. So you should be able to identify the, what to say, the segment of that particular sphere. This is in spherical coordinate system, right? Yeah, r theta phi. So this is in spherical coordinate system. So you should draw the diagram first. Then you'll get a, what to say, whatever lengths you get like this. I mean whatever lengths you get. So we have to find what is the line integral first, and then we have to obtain the curl of h vector for this ds vector, whatever is the unit vector, right? So the answer for that, for both the sides, so for this case as well as this case, the answer should be 47.1238 amperes, right? Anyway, I'll give the detailed solution of this in Google Classroom, but I want you to solve this problem by yourself, right? Once you identify the segment and you know what is DL for that particular segment, it is very easy to solve, right? So these are some of the problems which I wanted to discuss today. So please try to write the questions and write the answers with the explanations whatever I've told in this video. It will be helpful for your exams when you're solving the problems. So what you have to remember is what is given, what formula can be applied to find the unknown, then how to apply the formula with respect to the differential elements. That's all, right? If you know differential elements properly and the formulas properly, this should not be a problem. And of course integration also, right? So these are the differential elements, dl, ds and dv, so which you can, dl and ds, which will be helpful for you to solve the problems. That's all. And what all we have discussed in this module? Yes. So this is the syllabus what you have in this module. Biot-Savart's law we have discussed. Magnetic field intensity, magnetic flux density we have discussed. Ampere's circuital law we have discussed. Scalar and vector magnetic potential, that is Vm and A vector, we have discussed. So only these two topics are left, that is force and torque and magnetic boundary conditions. Magnetic boundary conditions. After this we'll move on to the last module, that is fifth module. Right. Thank you.